From KPRC2, your election headquarters, this is Decision 2022. Straight talk from the candidates.
Hello and welcome. I'm KPRC2 anchor Keith Garvin. Election day is Tuesday, November 8th, and early voting is underway now through November 4th. When voters across our area head to the polls, KPRC2 and our parent company, Graham Media Group, want to make sure everyone has the resources needed to be informed. Straight Talk from the Candidates is your opportunity to hear directly from qualified candidates for selected U.S., statewide, and regional offices. Candidates who could represent you if elected. You'll hear them discuss their platform for office in an unedited, pre-taped message. KPRC does not endorse any of the candidates. The offices featured and the candidates invited to speak are all officially on the ballot according to the Texas Secretary of State, and were chosen by an independent political analyst who verified the races are of high public interest and the candidates are leading candidates in their respective races. Their messages will air without any commercial interruption. Now, here are your candidates. Their order of appearance in each featured race follows how you will see them on the ballot. Each candidate was asked to respond to the following question: why should voters cast their vote for you?
We begin with candidates running for the U.S. House of Representatives.
For U.S. Representative District 7, Johnny Teague, Republican.
Hello, I'm Johnny Teague. I contend that what we need more in Washington are people like us. People like us who have to pay the electric bills after a government decision. People like us who are affected in our schools with our children by government policy. We need people like us who go to a table of bills and have to decide what bill we pay now and what bill we'll pay with our next paycheck. We need people like us who have to scramble at the end of the year to try to decide how we're going to pay our property taxes to keep a roof over our heads. Government was never meant to be one where they decide and we comply. Not in this nation. In this nation, we should decide and the government comply. I believe that if you were able to go to Washington, you could straighten everything out. Unfortunately, who has the time? So we gather and we choose someone to go in our place. I'm wanting to go in your place and represent you in Washington. Together we can make a better day, and together we can fix the things that are wrong in our nation. I'm Johnny Teague, and I appreciate your vote.
For U.S. Representative District 7, Lizzie Fletcher, Democrat.
I'm Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher. I'm honored and proud to represent Texas's 7th Congressional District in the United States Congress in Washington, D.C. It is a privilege and a responsibility that I'm grateful for and committed to every day. Since I took office in 2019, I've worked as a partner with neighbors and leaders in our city, county, state, and country to address our biggest challenges and most pressing needs. Investing in our infrastructure to make our community more resilient and to grow our economy. Expanding access to quality, affordable health care while bringing down the costs. Keeping Houston the energy capital of the world while addressing critical climate and environmental challenges. Responding to the many challenges brought by the coronavirus pandemic. And protecting our rights and our democracy. We face many challenges, but I remain optimistic about how much we can accomplish when we work together for our community and our country. I've spent 4 years in Congress doing just that. I'm committed to ensuring that our community's core values, inclusion, innovation, and collaboration, result in progress, equality, and opportunity for all Americans. I would be honored to earn your vote and to be your partner as we work together to bring a little more Houston to Washington, D.C.
Republican candidate for U.S. Representative District 8, Morgan Luttrell, declined our invitation. For U.S. Representative District 8, Laura Jones, Democrat.
My name is Laura Jones, and I'm applying for the job to represent you in Washington. I'm running for U.S. Congress in District 8, which stretches from Lake Livingston to Katy. I will work hard for everyone in our district, regardless of their race, gender, religion, age, or household income. As I'm traveling around the district, the issues that people speak on most are affordable health care, education, women's rights, voting rights, gun safety, the climate crisis, and veteran care. If we truly want to put America first, we need to put our communities first. The focus should not be on the national political talking points that divide us, but on improving the lives of everyone in our communities. I'm going to Washington to unite us, not divide us. I believe our country can do better once we elect representatives who show up for all the people in their communities. I am that person who will best serve us, all of us. To learn more about our campaign, visit our website at laurajonesforcongress.com or check us out on Facebook at Laura Jones for U.S. House or on Twitter at @CongressLaura. I'm asking for your vote in November. Vote Laura Jones for U.S. Congress in District 8. Thank you.
For U.S. Representative District 18, Carmen Maria Montiel, Republican.
My name is Carmen Maria Montiel, and I am running for U.S. Congressional District 18 this midterm elections. I came to Houston back in 1991. I have seen the difference of our city in these last 30 years, especially the last 28 years. Crime is at the highest in our district. It is a problem in the city of Houston, but at the highest in District 18. What it matters to our constituents also is inflation, high cost of gas, and high cost of goods. We need to also close the border, and it also is a problem that helps to increase crime in the city of Houston. Parental rights are very important to our families, as parents are the ones that have to have the say-so into what is taught to our children in school. We need to get back to basics, make our city safe, make our state safe, and our country also. I was born and raised in Venezuela, and I see the similarities into what we're seeing today going to a left type of program or government. Vote for me on November the 8th, and I will work for you and with you. Once again, my name is Carmen Maria Montiel, and I am at the top of the ballot in District 18.
Democratic candidate for U.S. Representative District 18, Sheila Jackson Lee, did not respond to our invitation. For U.S. Representative District 38, Wesley Hunt, Republican.
I'm Wesley Hunt, and I'm running for Congress as the great-great-grandson of a slave, who, along with my sister, brother, and I, we attended West Point and served our country honorably in the United States military. As a Houston native, I know how out of control crime has become, and unlike the Democrat Party, I will fund and support law enforcement. It's why I'm proud to have earned the endorsements of both the Texas Fraternal Order of Police and the Houston Police Officers Union. I also know that under Joe Biden and one-party Democrat rule in Washington, we're living through the worst inflation of my lifetime, the worst energy crisis in over a generation, and the worst border crisis of my lifetime, and the most global instability we have seen since World War II. We need strong, liberty-loving Americans in Congress who are willing to stand against the policies that are destroying our country. A vote for Democrats will be a continued assault on the oil and gas industry, which is the lifeblood of our community. I flew 55 combat air missions in Baghdad defending our freedom, and I'm ready to defend yours again in Washington. I hope to earn your vote this November.
For U.S. Representative District 38, Duncan Klausman, Democrat.
I'm Duncan Klausman, and I'm running for Congress in the new 38th Congressional District covering West and Northwest Houston. I'm running because I believe gerrymandering is killing our democracy. When the politicians in Austin draw congressional districts to hand to one party or the other, candidates only have to pay attention to the 5% of voters that vote in primary elections. The 38th Congressional District was drawn to gift to Wesley Hunt, and I don't think any congressional district should be gifted to anyone. I spent 20 years living and working in the district. My opponent has never lived, worked, or volunteered his time in the district and is funded with outside money. I spent 18 years working at Spring Branch ISD, my last 11 as superintendent of schools. I served on the Jersey Village City Council, was president of the Jersey Village Crime Control and Prevention District, and I also served on the leadership team at Foundry United Methodist Church and as a youth sports coach in the area. We need a representative in CD 38 who's completely committed to representing the people of the 38th Congressional District. My top issues to focus on in CD 38 are providing safe schools, restoring women's rights, tackling inflation, reducing crime, and proactively addressing flooding. I worked my whole career to bring people together with different viewpoints to get things done. And if you elect me, I will do the same in Washington. I will always put the people of the 38th Congressional District and my country first, my party second, myself third. CD 38 needs a representative with deep roots in the community. You trusted me with your kids. You can trust me with your vote. Check out our campaign at duncanfortexas.com.
Next, the candidates running for Texas governor.
Republican candidate for Texas Governor Greg Abbott declined our invitation. Democratic candidate for Texas Governor Beto O'Rourke declined our invitation. For Texas Governor Mark Tippett, Libertarian.
Texas government and governor keep getting bigger and more authoritarian than at any other time in history. Governor Abbott gives hundreds of millions of dollars to large corporations, while law-abiding Texans struggle to afford to buy a home. And when they finally do buy a home, are forever enslaved paying property tax. Governor Abbott, using COVID as a political weapon, has attacked and shut down small businesses, churches, schools, and other hardworking Texans with his unconstitutional mandates. And the Democrats only wish to replace one tyrant for another. The Republicans and the Democrats believe they are elected to be your boss. They've got it backwards. You are the boss. That's why I'm running for governor, to put you back in charge of your life. With freedom to build a business without red tape or heavy taxation. Freedom to keep the fruits of your labor. Freedom to educate your children the way you see fit. Freedom to raise your kids with your values. Freedom to make your own health and vaccine choices. Freedom to speak without fear. And freedom to worship in your own way. You see, in a free state, smaller government makes room for bigger citizens. People taking responsibility for themselves. Neighbors helping neighbors. Where a job is the best welfare program. And family and community are the best safety net. The Democrats and Republicans will fight with everything they have to keep this power for themselves. It won't be easy, but easy has got us to where we are now. Commitment and hard work will lead us to a Texas where the government is servant to the people, where we are the masters of our fate and you are the captains of your destiny. I am Mark Tippett, Libertarian candidate for governor.
Green Party candidate for Texas Governor Delilah Barrios did not respond to our invitation.
Next, the candidates running for Texas Lieutenant Governor.
Republican candidate for Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick did not respond to our invitation. For Texas Lieutenant Governor Mike Collier, Democrat.
My name is Mike Collier, candidate for Texas Lieutenant Governor. I'm a businessman, I'm an energy expert, and if I'm honored to be your Lieutenant Governor, I will stand up to the extremes of both parties, whether we're soft on crime because we have a real crime problem in this state, or whether we're soft on the border because we must have a safe and secure border, and we also need great public schools. Our property taxes are exploding, and we have to fix the grid. I'm coming from the business world to solve problems. That's what I do. I love the state, and I can tell you that things aren't getting done. When I travel the state and I talk to Texans and ask them, are we better off now than we were 4 years or 8 years ago? The answer is no. So to my friends here in Texas, if you want a lieutenant governor who rolls up his sleeves, solves problems honestly, stands up to the extremes of both parties, then I hope that you'll vote for me, Mike Collier, your next Texas Lieutenant Governor.
Now the candidates running for Texas Attorney General.
Republican candidate for Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton did not respond to our invitation. For Texas Attorney General Rochelle Mercedes Garza, Democrat.
I'm Rochelle Garza, and I am running for Texas Attorney General to unseat criminally indicted and corrupt Ken Paxton and to fight for our families. I'm a fifth-generation Texan from the Rio Grande Valley, where I live with my husband and my 6-month-old daughter. My father was a farmer, and thanks to the opportunities afforded to him in this country, he was able to go to school, become a teacher, a lawyer, and eventually a judge. Along with my mother, they taught me that every person is worthy of dignity and respect. That's why I became a lawyer for the people. As an attorney, my job is to make powerful people recognize that we are all equal under the law. That's why I'm running to be the people's lawyer, to use the law to ensure each person, each family has the opportunities to get ahead. When elected, I will answer to the people. I will root out corruption and bring back integrity and transparency to the AG's office. I will create a fully funded civil rights division to protect the safety, privacy, and dignity of every Texan. I'll take on the powerful and bad actors for price gouging, because that's how you help ordinary families get ahead. And I will not stop fighting until abortion rights are restored in Texas. This election, a vote for Garza, is a vote for our families, for our children, for all Texans.
Now, hear from the candidates running for Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts.
Republican candidate for Comptroller of Public Accounts, Glenn Hagar, did not respond to our invitation. For Comptroller of Public Accounts, Janet T. Dudding, Democrat.
Howdy, I'm Janet Dudding. My first job was putting corrupt politicians in prison, so I know a thing or two about accountability. That's why I'm running to be your Comptroller of Public Accounts, the state's accountant. We've never had an accountant as our state accountant, and it's high time we change that. Who better than a certified public accountant to bring accountability to Texans? Like most Texans, I hate paying taxes, and it ticks me off to see those tax dollars wasted. We're all watching our budgets these days, but who's watching Abbott's? And can Hagar even read his budget? Our property taxes have skyrocketed, corporations are skipping out on their fair share and sticking us with the bill. We're still paying for the 2021 freeze, and they hadn't fixed the dang grid. And the current comptroller, the one who's supposed to be watching the till, is giving his friends the keys to the store while he pockets their campaign contributions. Somebody needs to get fired, y'all. I'm Janet Dudding. I'm no politician. I'm a grandmother and a CPA. I'm asking for your vote to hold these good old boys accountable.
Next, the candidates running for Commissioner of the Texas General Land Office.
For Commissioner of the General Land Office, Dawn Buckingham, Republican.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dawn Buckingham, and I'm asking for your historical vote to elect me as our state's first female land commissioner. As a mom, wife, physician, former school board member, and senator, I have spent my life in the service of others. The land commissioner is one of the most important positions in Texas, from funding education to taking care of our veterans, to overseeing hurricane recovery, to stewarding our state lands. This office truly touches the lives of everyday Texans. In this race, you will have a real choice. First, my opponent supports Green New Deal policies that will cripple our oil and gas industry, which will spike inflation and further cause prices to rise on everything from gasoline to groceries. You can count on me to support oil and gas on our state lands, creating jobs and driving down Biden's inflation. Next, I'm a product of our great Texas schools, as are my children. My opponent cannot say the same, as he attended the same elitist out-of-state private school as Beto. Public education is a passion of mine. As land commissioner, I will support public education by protecting the billions in revenue our state lands generate through the same oil and gas leases that my opponent wants to shut down. Thank you, and I ask for your vote for Dawn Buckingham.
For Commissioner of the General Land Office, Jay Clayburgh, Democrat.
I'm Jay Clayburgh, and I'm the Democratic nominee for Texas Land Commissioner. I believe that voters should cast their vote for me because for too long, Texans, especially those in Houston and Harris County, have felt firsthand the brunt of failed leadership at the General Land Office, also known as GLOW. Whether it be my upbringing on the King Ranch, my work conserving and managing land from Galveston Bay to the Big Bend, and my role as Associate Director of Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation, or the time I spent building my small business to maintain rural working lands, I've spent my working life in land, water, and wildlife conservation. And I spent this campaign visiting with Texans across this great state, from the Panhandle to South Texas to Northwood Manor and the 5th Ward in Houston. And one thing that we all have in common is a desire for new leadership that puts people before politics. This office, one that manages 13 million acres of public lands, provides critical support to public schools and veterans, and helps Texans prepare for and recover from natural disasters, can and must be a force of good for all Texans if under the right leadership. But for years, Texans have been left underwater and in the dark following the most destructive storms in our nation's history. We're not prepared for the next disaster, we're just waiting for the next one to hit. My name is Jay Clayburgh, and I hope I can count on your vote.
Next, the candidates running for Texas Commissioner of Agriculture.
Republican candidate for Commissioner of Agriculture Sid Miller declined our invitation. For Commissioner of Agriculture, Susan Hayes, Democrat.
Hello, I'm Susan Hayes, and I'm the Democratic nominee for Texas Agriculture Commissioner. I'm running to end the corruption at the Ag Commission under Sid Miller, fight for rural health care, and promote healthy agriculture and healthy food. I'm a lawyer who spent her career fighting for our rights, from reproductive rights to voting rights. In 2020, I represented Harris County in the dozens of lawsuits the Republicans filed when Chris Hollins tried to make it easier and safer to vote during a deadly pandemic. I helped draft and pass the law that legalized hemp in Texas, only to watch the corruption unfold at the Ag Commission. Sid Miller's political consultant has now been indicted for fraud for trying to sell hemp licenses that only cost $100 for tens of thousands of dollars. I'm looking to earn your vote because I'll do the work, whether it's making sure we address food deserts in Houston or that school lunches and Meals on Wheels provide healthy food for kids, the elderly, and people with disabilities. I'll also end Sid's war on black farmers and use this office to lift Texas up, not engage in juvenile antics to grab power. I will spend every day fighting for you. And as a cannabis lawyer, I'll lead the way to legalize cannabis in Texas. You can learn more about my plans for cannabis, healthcare, and healthy food at hayesforag.com. That's HAYS, the number 4, AG.com. Thank you.
Now, the candidates running for Texas Railroad Commissioner.
For Railroad Commissioner, Wayne Christian, Republican.
Hello, my name is Wayne Christian. I'm asking for your vote for re-election to the Texas Railroad Commission. The Railroad Commission of Texas has nothing to do with railroads. In fact, it's oil, gas, and coal. It's what makes Texas different from every other state. Were we a nation, would be number 4 in production as a nation in oil, gas, and coal. We had Storm Uri. You ran out of electricity. We don't do electricity, but we do natural gas. Natural gas grew to 70% of your electric usage during that time when wind and solar went dead. Ladies and gentlemen, right now we're under attack from the Biden administration to stop production of oil and gas in Texas. As we scan the globe begging for oil, Texas has 200 years of energy available for these United States in West Texas alone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we stood for our children and grandchildren of the God-given gift of oil and gas that we have in Texas. I've made sure we've beat every environmental decree in the last 6 years. We have become award winners for cleaning the environment and number 1 in producing in the United States of oil and gas and energy that makes us different from the cavemen. My name is Wayne Christian. I'd appreciate your vote for Railroad Commissioner. Go to christianfortexas.com and just remember to vote for the only Christian by name on the ballot.
For Railroad Commissioner Luke Warford, Democrat.
Hello, my name is Luke Warford, and I am the Democratic nominee for the Texas Railroad Commission, the statewide office that regulates the Texas oil and gas industry and could have prevented last February's grid failure. My opponent, Wayne Christian, is a career politician who takes 99% of his campaign contributions from the corporate executives he's supposed to regulate, with disastrous consequences for the people of Houston and Texans across our state. Christian ignored years of expert warnings calling on the Texas Railroad Commission to establish and enforce a clear weatherization standard that would have kept Texans safe during last February's winter storm. And when disaster struck, he used the storm as an opportunity to let his campaign donors make billions in profits and pass the cost onto Texans across the state. costs that we are all now paying for in the form of higher utility bills. I'm a first-time candidate with a background in economics, and I've spent most of my career working in the private sector. I'm running to secure the Texas energy grid, lower our utility prices, protect our air and water, and expand Texas energy leadership so that Texas remains the energy capital of the world for decades to come. And I'm asking for your vote on November 8th because the issues at stake in this race are too important to leave in the hands of corrupt politicians like Wayne Christian. Thank you.
Our next races are contests that will be decided by voters in Harris County, starting with Harris County Judge.
For Harris County Judge Alexandra Delmarel Mueller, Republican.
My name is Alexandra Delmarel Mueller, and I'm running for Harris County Judge to restore integrity to this office and bring back effective and efficient governance. Our current county judge has spent 4 years focusing on issues that she has no power over, instead of focusing on the kitchen table issues right here in Harris County that she can control, like public safety, infrastructure, and flooding. Most importantly, I have a plan to tackle crime that is supported by every major law enforcement agency in Harris County. I will immediately fund 1,000 law enforcement officers to get violent criminals off our streets, secure the jail, and patrol our communities. For flooding, I've committed to creating 2 bipartisan delegations, one state and one federal, to determine how best to position Harris County to receive additional funding. And unlike Lena Hidalgo, who has grown government under her tenure and expects taxpayers to foot the bill, I will not raise taxes and I will cut the government bloat. This administration is clouded by corruption, with 3 of Lena's senior staff members, including her chief of staff, being criminally indicted. It's time to have a local government that is transparent, accountable, and efficient. That's why I'm asking for your vote on November 8th.
For Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo, Democrat.
I'm Lena Hidalgo, your Harris County Judge. Over the past 4 years, I've steered our community through floods, fires, pandemic, the winter freeze, and other emergencies. Even with those challenges, we've been able to accomplish so much for our community. For decades, the leaders in Harris County ignored vital services the community needed. Under Republican leadership, developers were the ones setting flood control policy. They listened to the NRA instead of crime victims when it came to crime policy. They listened to polluters for pollution control, and Harris County was just a rubber stamp for far-right policies from the state. That's not who we are. And that's why over the past 4 years, I've been proud to make the largest investment ever in law enforcement, raising officers' pay, hiring more officers. I was born in Colombia during the drug war, so I know the importance of public safety. We've made the largest investment in early childhood education to the tune of $60 million. We've made the largest investment in 30 years in environmental protection. We've invested in voting, made it more transparent, more accountable than ever before. And we've doubled the budget for our Veteran Services Department and so much more. I'm running for re-election because it would be an honor to continue serving you. And I love this community. I hope I can count on your vote this November.
Now the candidates for Harris County District Clerk.
For Harris County District Clerk Chris Daniel, Republican.
I'm Chris Daniel, your former Harris County District Clerk, asking you to bring Chris Daniel back for Harris County District Clerk. I served as District Clerk for 8 years, making the courts electronic and online, streamlining court tools for law enforcement, and creating the first ever passport office through the county. Crime and public safety are on the ballot. When the District Clerk doesn't do their job, criminals are wrongly let out of jail, and justice grinds to a halt. Worse, when the database isn't shared with the feds properly, convicted felons can then pass a federal background check and buy firearms to commit even more crimes. Haven't we had enough? As an engineer and a lawyer, I know how to run the office, and will bring even more innovation to the courts, vastly improving our justice system. Let's bring back competence and real leadership back to the District Clerk's office. Let's bring back Chris Daniel.
For Harris County District Clerk Marilyn Burgess, Democrat.
Hello, I'm Marilyn Burgess, your District Clerk. Since 2019, I've been modernizing this office to better serve Harris County citizens. In less than 4 years, I have introduced solutions and efficient changes, such as implementing online registration for jurors and providing them with free parking and coffee. In fact, last year I won a prestigious national award for our jury innovation. I made it possible to pay court fines online with a credit card. I discovered millions of dollars in assessed, unbilled court costs and have recovered over $5 million for you, the taxpayer. I streamlined the office and used the savings to give employees long overdue raises. My predecessor had 8 years to do these things, but he did not. Now he wants his old job back. As a CPA, I understand how to efficiently run large organizations to serve people. I am Marilyn Burgess, asking for your vote to serve you for another 4 years.
Next, the candidates running for the office of County Clerk.
For Harris County Clerk Stan Stannard, Republican.
Hello, I'm Stan Stannard. For 8 years as your Harris County Clerk, I recorded the major events of your life. And unlike my opponent, I also ran Harris County elections. I brought state-of-the-art technology to every department in the clerk's office. Since Democrats took over, our elections have been a disaster. We've seen old voter rolls used, voters in line for over 6 hours, incomplete, threatening election integrity, and lawsuits for violating Texas election law. In the March primary, the elections administrator admitted that over 10,000 ballots were not reported for 5 days, which forced her to resign. As a proven certified elections administrator, I know how to fix this mess. Voters are saying enough is enough, and even Democrats tell me they're voting for me. Please return competency to Harris County Clerk's office by casting your vote for Stan Stannard. Then you'll know every vote will be counted accurately for the next 4 years. I'm Stan Stannard, and I ask for your vote.
For Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hudson, Democrat.
My name is Tanisha Hudson, and I serve as your Harris County Clerk. I listened to you and kept my promise of making the county clerk's office one that works for you. I vowed to modernize and make the clerk's office accessible for everyone, as COVID showed us that our world had changed tremendously. So we launched online systems to enable the purchase of essential certificates and records that are now digitized. We have accomplished so much in the near 2 years I have been in office, from improving transparency and efficiency to winning national awards for innovative programs we created to be more accessible for working class families. Again, my name is Tanisha Hudson, and I'm running for re-election for County Clerk. I pray you will support me again on November 8th to continue our progress together. You can learn more about our campaign at TanishaHudspeth.com.
Next, the candidates running for the office of Harris County Treasurer.
For Harris County Treasurer Kyle Scott, Republican.
My name is Kyle Scott, and I'm running to be your next Harris County Treasurer because I believe we can raise standards while lowering costs. Every dollar that flows into and out of the county passes through the Treasurer's office, so it can serve as the eyes and the ears of the taxpayers. If we put a stop to the waste and corruption, we can finally start to lower taxes while improving services this county so badly needs. The two most important issues the county government addresses are infrastructure and public safety, but we can't get those two issues right if we don't get the money right. To get this county back on track requires a fresh perspective and leadership experience. As a former trustee at Lone Star College, business owner and college professor with a PhD from UH and MBA from Rice, I have that perspective and the fortitude and skill set to fight for taxpayers like you. I'm asking you to put an outsider on the inside so we can find out what's really going on. My name is Kyle Scott, and I'm running to be your next Harris County Treasurer to restore accountability, transparency, and integrity to the county budget.
For Harris County Treasurer Carla L Wyatt, Democrat.
I'm Dr. Carla L Wyatt, and I'm running for Harris County Treasurer to make sure we have greater transparency and accountability in our county government. As the next Harris County Treasurer, I will continue to be dedicated to the people of Harris County. When I first announced my campaign for Harris County Treasurer, I made it clear that I wanted to paint a picture of understanding for the people regarding their taxpayer dollars. I believe bringing information, technology, and finance together will bridge the gap of understanding for our constituents. With almost 20 years of county governmental experience, I am dedicated to working with our many departments and Commissioners Court to increase fiscal checks and balances. I believe we can do better in Harris County. I need your support. Let's be on the right side of history on November the 8th. Thank you. I'm Dr. Carla L Wyatt. Carla like the hurricane, Wyatt like Earth.
Now, the candidates running for Harris County Commissioner.
For Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Jack Morman, Republican.
I'm Jack Morman, the Republican running for Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner in the November 8th general election. I served as the Precinct 2 Commissioner for 2 terms. I'm asking for the chance to return to office so we can put a renewed emphasis on key issues. Public safety. Violent crime is too high. There are too many victims. We need to do more to back law enforcement and support crime victims. Defunding of police must stop. Flood control. We must be inventive and keep the promises we made to the voters after Hurricane Harvey. Spending. The county spends your money, and we need to do a better job treating it like your money. And finally, county government must be more transparent and ethical. I'm Jack Morman. Please vote for me for Precinct 2 Commissioner. Early voting is ongoing, and Election Day is November 8th. Thank you.
For Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Democrat.
Hi, I'm Adrian Garcia, and I'm running for re-election for County Commissioner Precinct 2. I grew up in Houston's North Side, working in my dad's auto repair shop, where I learned to fix things, and the North Side remains my home. Growing up, though, I saw crime and violence up close, and it motivated me to join the Houston Police Department at the age of 19, which is why I support law enforcement for all they do for us. And I remember asking my dad for his blessing to join HPD, which he did, with one condition: to never forget where you come from. His words have guided me as a cop, council member, sheriff, and now as county commissioner for the east side of Harris County. That's why I work every day to make Precinct 2 safer and more affordable. It's why I cut the tax rate 3 times, expanded healthcare, and improved our infrastructure and funded law enforcement. I'm Adrian Garcia, Commissioner of Precinct 2, and I'm respectfully asking for your vote. Thank you.
For Harris County Precinct 4 Commissioner Jack Cagle, Republican.
I'm Jack Cagle, and I have the privilege of serving you as the Commissioner of Harris County Precinct 4. With your help, we passed the $2.5 billion flood control bond to keep our families safer from future flooding and secured billions of dollars in disaster relief funding to help rebuild our communities affected by Hurricane Harvey. We've assembled the finest road and bridge crews to keep us safe in the storms and out of the storms. I support the brave men and women in law enforcement, and that's why every law enforcement organization in Harris County supports my reelection. We need to put an end to the failed catch and release programs that put dangerous criminals back on our streets. And in these times of rising costs and soaring appraisals, I'll reform the property tax appraisal system, allowing you and your family to keep more of your hard-earned money. I'm Jack Cagle, and it's an honor to represent you. Together, we can continue to make Precinct 4 the greatest place to live, work, and raise a family.
For Harris County Precinct 4 Commissioner Leslie Briones, Democrat.
I'm Leslie Briones, and I'm your Democratic nominee for Harris County Commissioner, Precinct 4. I grew up on the border in Laredo and watched my parents work multiple jobs to make ends meet. I worked my way through college and law school. I've worked as a teacher, a lawyer, a nonprofit executive, and a civil court judge. I'm also a working mom raising 3 amazing daughters. My focus is on making Harris County safer and more affordable for all our families. I'll use my experience to improve our roads and parks and to expand affordable health care and housing. I will work every day to keep our families safe from crime by fully investing in law enforcement. If I'm elected, I will be the first mother and only the 3rd woman elected in her own right to serve on Commissioner's Court. I will stand up for Harris County women, including doing everything possible under current laws to increase access to reproductive health care. I would be honored by your vote. Thank you.
Our final race is the race for Fort Bend County Judge.
For Fort Bend County Judge Trevor Nails, Republican.
I am Trevor Nails, and I am running for Fort Bend County Judge to bring leadership back to Fort Bend County. I have the experience we need to lead Fort Bend County Commissioner's Court. I have served 28 years in Fort Bend law enforcement, 8 years as a constable, and 33 years in the U.S. Army, retiring last year as a colonel. Today, I am the president of a local biotechnology startup. I understand the issues business owners, employees, and families are facing, from out-of-control taxes, inflation, and crime. The fact is, Liberal County Judge KP George has failed to deliver. Taxes are skyrocketing, crime is skyrocketing, and inflation is skyrocketing on his watch. Murder is up 183% from when he took over in 2018. And the sheriff's office is 140 personnel short, over 70 deputies short in patrol. Those are just a couple of the many reasons why Fort Bend County's largest law enforcement association, the Fort Bend Deputy Sheriff's Association, has endorsed me. Fort Bend simply cannot afford 4 more years of liberal KP George. As Fort Bend County's next judge, I will cut unnecessary spending, lower taxes, and ensure law enforcement has the resources it needs.
For Fort Bend County Judge KP George, Democrat.
Hello, I am KP George, your Fort Bend County Judge. Over the last 4 years, we have successfully navigated numerous flooding incidents, the COVID-19 pandemic, Winter Storm Uri, electric grid failure, droughts, and other major emergencies to emerge stronger and more united than before. I have worked hard to bring thousands of good-paying jobs to Fort Bend, made historic investment to our public safety and emergency management programs, and building more roads to fight traffic congestions, all while cutting county taxes to a historic low to provide relief to our residents. Under my watch, Fort Bend County has been ranked the most safe in Texas, most COVID vaccinated in Texas, most healthy in our region, one of the fastest growing in Texas, second most prosperous in Texas, most educational attainment in our region, most diverse county in the country. Together, we have made Fort Bend County more effective and engaging and efficient to all our diverse families and generations to come. I am running for re-election to keep Fort Bend County #1 because the best is yet to come. Please make sure to vote in the upcoming election and go to kpgeorge.com for more information.
Now, back to KPRC2 anchor Keith Garvin.
Another reminder, Election Day is November 8th, but you can vote early now through November 4th. When we return, answers to some of the most frequently asked questions about voting in the Lone Star State, what you should know next. But first, be sure to visit click2houston.com/decision2022 to find a polling location near you.
There are Texans of all kinds. But when it comes to voting, they all need an approved form of ID. That's why it's important to ready, check, vote. Visit votetexas.gov to find a full list of the approved photo IDs and what to do if you don't possess and can't reasonably obtain one.
Visit votetexas.gov or call 1-800-252-VOTE.
This is our vote.
Voting in Texas is complicated by design. 866 Our Vote is here to help. The Election Protection Hotline is a nonpartisan network guiding Texans through voting problems, big and small.
Understanding Texas identification requirements.
Getting my absentee ballot.
Recognizing intimidation and suppression.
And reporting it. Too many people fought and died for the right to vote.
Let's honor their legacy.
Voting should be easy.
When it's not, call us.
Welcome back. Once again, KPRC2 will be partnering with the League of Women Voters Houston for an Election Day phone bank from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Election Day. Volunteers will be available to answer your questions. You can also call in to report any issues you see at the polls. Dr. Annie Johnson Benefield from the League of Women Voters Houston recently stopped by Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall to let us know about their free voters guide filled with nonpartisan information with everything you need to know before you head to the polls.
I was talking to someone earlier about the Harris County ballot, and they were it's the longest ballot, maybe in the country, certainly in the state. So people really need to do their homework ahead of time, and your guide is a good way to at least have some advanced information, not only about the candidates, but the issues that are out there as well.
Yes, the guide actually facilitates. The voters can take this document into the polling location to click off and check off the candidates they want, to compare the candidates, decide which candidate they're going to vote for in terms of the issues and propositions as well. and all the way down the ballot. I would suggest that you do your homework before you go to the polling location, because then you will be so taken aback with the length of the ballot. If you already know who you're going to vote for based on this piece of paper that you're going to take in, you can develop a sample ballot. You can use the guide as a reference, and then you could do a sample ballot and print it out and take it in. But that means you have to have access to a printer.
And whether you vote early or head to cast your ballot on Election Day, there are things you need to know. My KPRC2 co-anchor Daniela Guzman answers some of the most frequently asked voting questions.
One of the frequently asked questions coming into our newsroom is, where do I vote? First, take the time to make sure you're familiar with your county's polling procedures. And while you can go to any location in your county during early voting, you may have to report to your assigned precinct on Election Day to cast a ballot. If you're in Harris County, you can now cast your ballot at any polling location in the county on Election Day as well. Viewers also asking us what kind of identification is required to vote in person. Well, once you arrive at a polling location, you'll be asked to provide one of the following 7 acceptable forms of ID: a Texas driver's license, Texas election ID card, a Texas personal ID card, Texas handgun license, a U.S. military ID card, a U.S. citizenship certificate, or a U.S. passport. Now, KPRC2's Rochelle Turner walks us through the process of casting your ballot with Harris County's new voting machines.
Harris County has one of the longest ballots in the country, and it varies by each precinct. Officials are encouraging people to vote early. Voters can cast their ballots at 99 locations in Harris County.
We're excited. We've been planning this for months now, and it's all coming together.
Nadia Hakeem is the Deputy Director of Communications for the Harris County Elections Administrator and spoke to KPRC2 about what voters need to know.
We have the longest ballot in the state, possibly the country. So most people are going to be going through at least 90 screens.
There are new voting machines that have been in place since last year, and all counties are required to have a machine with a paper ballot trail by 2026. Voters will receive 2 sheets of special ballot paper and an access code. Next, insert the first sheet into the machine and make your selection using the touchscreen. Next, print and review your choices. Hakeem says if you see something that doesn't match up, you have 2 more times to correct your ballot. Your vote is officially cast once you place the ballot into the scan.
It's been some growing pains in Harris County, but we are ahead of the curve. We wanted people to be comfortable with these before these big elections.
Hakeem says there's also curbside voting.
Some folks think, well, I thought Senate Bill 1 banned drive-through voting. It did. However, curbside voting is an ADA. It's required by ADA. So if you are unable to enter a polling location for whatever reason, there is curbside voting. You just have to go to the buzzer and ring the bell.
The new voting machines are a measure to ease voters' concerns about their ballot being counted. Next, KPRC2 investigator Mario Diaz takes us on a deeper dive into security for this election cycle.
Halloween decorations back out on the front lawn. But this is one of those years where the other lawn decorations are also prominently displayed, generating interest and questions.
I'm very concerned about this.
C.W. McLeod plans to vote in Harris County the second Tuesday of November, as does his neighbor, Chad Reed.
I'm not concerned at all.
Their opinions are reflective of what many are thinking, focusing squarely on the elections process, specifically the Harris County voting machines.
I think there is concern.
And the source of concern stems from the county's performance in previous elections, according to the Republican and Democratic Party chairs.
There's been issues with the paper going through. There have been issues with, did it get read properly? And I think in addition to how the primary was run, all the issues that were there, I think it just adds to the angst over the machines.
We don't hear anything much about the integrity of the machines. What we do hear, though, is that it's a different machine than what they're used to from the past, right?
In Harris County, 11,203 machines will be rolling out to more than 180 polling locations for the midterm elections. Those machines will be handling one of the longest ballots in the nation, depending on your precinct.
I'm excited about where we are.
Meet Clifford Tatum, the new Harris County Elections Administrator. He has one job, to ensure your vote gets counted without any issues.
The machines are doing what they've been designed to do.
Tatum came on board following the massive challenges former elections administrator Isabel Longoria had in March. During a recent interview with KPRC2 Investigates, Tatum not only conveyed his confidence in the integrity of voting machines, but also the testing process.
So every machine goes through a calibration process, and as I mentioned, we take the system as a whole through a logic and accuracy testing. So as we calibrate each machine and get it ready for the voting process, we then seal that machine so that there's a control number associated to that machine. We then know where that machine is being deployed out into the field.
But what are the chances of a voting machine being hacked? For that answer, we go to New York City.
I think our election systems are quite safe.
NYU professor Justin Kapos is viewed as one of the foremost experts on hacking, from finances to elections.
The Harris County machines look like they've really done their homework on almost all the steps that one could want.
Kapos says the paper trail Harris County machines are now producing is pivotal, as it provides a checks and balances system for voters.
Having a paper ballot that you can later go back and do audits with if you need to, that the voter can verify and that drops in, that's really the gold standard.
In the past, you'd have a voter say, well, how do I know my vote was counted as I cast it? Well, the paper shows that.
A backstop for potential problems, because if there are questions or an audit is called, Harris County voters will feel more empowered than in past elections because the proof will be on the paper.
Overall, I think they're exceedingly solid, and I would be extremely surprised if there were any real problem with them from a security standpoint.
Tatum says the machines will be secured and tracked throughout the elections process, from early voting to the count, ensuring every vote is tabulated.
Once they close at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., once the last voter is voted in line, then those results are brought down to us, and there's checks and balances on that as well.
Kapos says his greatest concern for any outside influence on the voting process is not so much on the machines, but the spreading of misinformation on social media to essentially influence voters. Mario Diaz, KPRC2 Investigates.
For anyone voting by mail, Harris County requires your mail-in ballot to be postmarked by Election Day, and it must be received in the elections office no later than 5 p.m. on Wednesday, November 9th. And now KPRC2 anchor Sion Rhodes answers your questions about postage for mail-in ballots.
Some Harris County voters are already making their voices heard by mail. KPRC2 received several emails from viewers who were surprised by the increased postage costs. One viewer writing, I took my mail-in ballot to mail-in more on Woodland Hills and Kingwood. They measured my envelope. They have a size guide for U.S. mail. The guide showed the envelope was too big by 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch for 2 stamps. So I had to pay $2.75 for flat rate. We reached out to the Harris County Elections Office, who said postage requirements are included on an insert inside the mail ballot and application. This is what that page looks like. It says 1 page requires 1 forever stamp and 2 to 4 pages require 2 forever stamps. The Elections Office says you can also hand deliver the ballot in person to the Elections Office on Election Day or use a common or contract carrier.
Harris County voters can track the progress of their mail-in ballot at harrisvotes.com. And there are 3 bond propositions totaling $1.2 billion for Harris County voters to consider. County Administrator David Berry visited Houston newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall to break down what those propositions cover.
Let's talk briefly about the 3 bonds.
Sure.
Okay, one of them is Proposition A. Proposition A is asking for $100 million in investments for public safety, facilities, technology you see on the board there, including law enforcement. So is there more? What's more included in that, and why is that so important?
We have a chance to, if the voters agree, to upgrade our law enforcement facilities. We've got a number of substations where cops work out of, sometimes late into the night. We haven't renovated them in 30 or 40 years. We have a
30, 40 years they haven't been renovated? Okay.
We've kept the ceilings from leaking, but they could definitely use an upgrade if the voters agree. We just got our criminal justice complex back up and running after Hurricane Harvey. So I think there's some opportunities to make that even more resilient, whether that's backup generators or other improvements. we got to keep all that stuff running.
That's a part of it. Proposition B is the biggest of the three bonds. It's for $900 million. Focuses a lot on road-related issues. But what are the key parts of this one?
Sure. So roads obviously means how people drive around, and it's important that they sit in traffic as little as possible. It's also really important that they drive as safely as possible. So we've actually got a little bit of this bond, $50 million, set aside to doing projects that could reduce fatalities, reduce accidents. And then the drainage piece is important too, because our streets and their drainage are really important to keeping folks safe from flooding. So there's some money to make sure our streets can carry the water away from our homes and businesses and get it to our bayous and channels.
I want to tell everybody we're going to do a Houston Newsmakers Extra. We have more to talk about, so we're going to go to our website and do that. But we have one last proposition to talk about as well. Proposition C, asking for $200 million for parks and other things. And I thought, including here, people with disabilities, inclusive parks for people with disabilities, something we really haven't thought of, but my goodness, we should have before now.
Absolutely, and there's actually a great example of that in the James Driver Inclusive Park, where it's a place that people of all different abilities can go relax and play. And one of our goals is to bring up all the county parks to meet Americans with Disability Act standards, and also to look at connecting those parks better, because it's important not just to have them, but make sure people can get there, whether that's driving, walking, or biking.
You can see much more of Barry's interview in a Houston Newsmakers Extra, as well as Kimbrell's full interview with the candidates for Harris County Judge at click2houston.com. We'll send it back to you, Keith.
Earlier in the show, we mentioned that Governor Greg Abbott and his Democratic challenger in the Texas governor's race, Beto O'Rourke, declined to participate in this program due to scheduling conflicts. KPRC2 anchor Christine Noel recently sat down for a one-on-one interview with Governor Greg Abbott, and anchor Sion Rhodes interviewed Beto O'Rourke one-on-one. You can watch both of those interviews on the Decision 2022 page at click2houston.com. That concludes our special presentation. We hope you enjoyed this opportunity to hear directly from the candidates. If you missed any of the candidate messages tonight or want to see them again, you'll find them online at click2houston.com/Decision 2022. Remember to watch KPRC2 and the KPRC2 Plus live stream, your headquarters for extensive pre- and post-election coverage. We want to thank Rice University's Baker Institute Fellow and Professor of Political Science Mark Jones for his help on this program. We also thank you for watching. I'm Keith Garvin, and from all of us here at KPRC2, have a great night and be sure to get out and vote.